Join Jaedee Caines and Rohan this and every Thursday on the Caribbean's powerhouse, Von Radio, for Speak Up, a social commentary talk show that addresses the state of affairs on Nevis. Expect great conversations, different perspectives, and an all-inclusive approach to moving Nevis forward. Tune in. It's time for us to speak up.
Good evening. It's another Thursday evening, and we are happy to be at the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse. My name is Jaedee Caines, and as always, myself and Rohan are here to bring you another edition of Speak Up. Speak Up is a 30-minute program which airs every Thursday night right here on Von Radio 860 AM 93.7 FM. We are usually also on the social media pages of Von Radio, Facebook and YouTube. This evening we are on YouTube, so for persons who normally tune in via Facebook, please have them know that they'll look at the YouTube link. I am trying to get that shared right now to my page as well as the NRP's page and Rohan's page as well, so that we can have some of our usual listeners tuning in. I'll go across the table and say good evening to my colleague Rohan. Good evening.
Good evening, Jaedee. Good evening to our regular listeners, and good evening to those who are joining us for the first time. It's another Thursday at Speak Up, and it's good to be here. Of course, we begin by extending congratulations to Charleston Secondary, who recently held their sports meet. I think probably the last one on Nevis. It was a good meet. Congratulations to the school, congratulations to the students, the parents, the coaches. Was good to be there. To those who are celebrating birthday, I see a long list of individuals celebrating birthday today. I won't attempt to get into those and miss. So I say happy birthday to those of you who are celebrating birthday today and who would have celebrated this week. As well, congratulations to those celebrating anniversary or any other significant milestone or any other reason to celebrate. Congratulations to you. For those who are having a difficult time, whether you're mourning or just going through a rough patch, as always, our thoughts and prayers are with you.
Yes, Rohan, I want to echo your sentiments as it relates to the Charlestown Secondary School. I definitely enjoyed last Sunday's sports meet. It went a bit longer than expected, to be honest. It really did. I didn't expect to get home that late, but it was definitely an afternoon and evening well spent. Of course, I made my sports commentary debut. I was alongside Powerhouse, Rohan Isles, and Kamani Ketui Webb. So you know that I had big shoes to fill. But they squeezed me in here and there. They gave me a little do, and it was good learning from them. It was a great experience. So kudos to the entire staff of Charlestown Secondary. You guys did well, and we had quite a few records being broken. And I know our children haven't trained for about 2 years, so they missed quite a lot. But it was really good to see how far they've come despite of all the challenges. So, good show. Rohan, last week when we were here, I don't know if the news broke yet, or perhaps it slipped us to mention, but Charles Busho passed away, and I want to pause here and offer my deepest sympathies to his entire family. Mr. Busho is someone who I knew, someone I respected. I knew him first when he worked at British American. I used to look at him when he worked at NTV, and I would always laugh and chuckle about his way of doing interviews and his command of the English language. But then I got to know him even better when he worked at British American, offering advice to me when I was going off to study, and trying to guide me in the best possible way as it relates to that. So deepest condolences to his entire family, all of his children and grandchildren. I know quite a bit of them, quite a few of them. I want to single out BJ and his siblings up there in Government Road, Nairo and the others, his sisters. Yes, I want to offer deepest condolences, and Tasha, their mom, who is Charles Busho's daughter, and to everyone else who is mourning at this point in time. Now, quite a bit has happened this week, and later on, before the show ends, we will tell you about some of the things that we have coming up, because we want you to be a part of everything that is happening. Everything NRP, we want you to be a part of that. But quite a bit has been happening. Rohan, we learned just today, we've been following a story, and we learned today that Andrew Foy is no longer the Premier of the British Virgin Islands. Mr. Foy has found himself in a bit of a problem, for want of a better term. Persons are innocent until proven guilty, so I don't want to comment on that component. But the fact that he was a sitting member, he was actually the Premier of the BVI when he was arrested in the United States. The people there decided to table a motion of no confidence, and I am told that before we came here that it was passed, and so he's no longer the Premier of the BVI. And I find that quite interesting, considering all that is happening here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but there are certain similarities in terms of motion of no confidence, and leaders being caught up and their names being called, let's put it that way, in different things. Ron, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the revolving door of Caribbean politics.
Yes.
When the news broke, it was difficult to take in. I have come to, in following the good gentleman, to find him to be a fighter for the people of the British Virgin Islands. And in this case, one could understand why there was a move to have him removed. I think they first asked him to resign, considering the fact that he had brought the office of the Premier into disrepute regionally and internationally, and you want to keep your good standing in the international community and around the region, and so that has happened. I think their constitution sets out for an act such as that, and what is interesting is that it is a combination of all the members of Parliament, it seems like, who would have said, listen, the office is bigger than the individual, and the reputation of our country must be held in good stead. And so that has happened, and I understand that if it hasn't happened yet, it is going to happen sometime today, the swearing of the new administration there in the British Virgin Islands. And so they are dealing with their situation the way that they think that it should be dealt with. Of course, I agree with you. He still has the right to due process.
Correct.
And if I understand it correctly, having not resigned, he's still a member of Parliament. And so I guess that is something to look out for down the line.
It's interesting.
So and there's a lot more to that. Of course, the Commission of Inquiry there had suggested the suspension of the island's constitution for a 2-year period, giving almost absolute power to its governor. And I think what is happening here is that the people of the Virgin Islands are saying, listen, we are capable of correcting the areas you would have identified in the Commission of Inquiry. We are mindful, and our people are intelligent enough, and we have been for years giving power to governments through vote, and I think they're looking at that process and saying, let us continue with our democracy rather than getting into what seems to be a quest to return the people of the British Virgin Islands to some form of colonialism.
Yes.
Interesting to watch.
Definitely interesting. Now, as it relates to what's happening here, though, I did indicate that it's not the same situation. Right, but the fact that there is a lot of uncertainty right now in St. Kitts and Nevis, and Rohan and I like to bring it home. We like to show how whatever impact would be there for the island of Nevis. I found it interesting, the whole notion or the concern that people have in the leadership of the country, because I know here on Nevis there is some concern in the leadership of the country. Let's focus on the leadership. Obviously there are concerns in the leadership of the country known as St. Kitts and Nevis, but there is concern about the leadership of the island of Nevis, because what we have found is that there is a situation where we have a premier resident on the island of Nevis, spends quite a bit of time on St. Kitts, who came to us along with 2 others, backed by the support of an entire team of blue persons, saying, send us to St. Kitts, send us to St. Kitts. And by going to St. Kitts, we are going to do more, bring more, make sure that Nevis is on a better footing. We are going to get fair share for the island of Nevis, not just in terms of finances, but in terms of putting us at the level that we deserve. However, many persons are now complaining that that has not happened. Many persons are of the view that perhaps the intent was there, but it failed. But the representatives on Nevis failed. Some persons are saying the intent was never there. They knew all along that they weren't capable of doing it. It was something that ought to be said so that persons can give in for another election. Whatever the situation is, it seems that there is a consensus that people aren't happy with what is happening. People do not feel that Nevis has gotten its fair share in terms of finances and its fair share in terms of representation. What do you say, Rohan?
Yeah, that's an interesting combination, though. Not the fair share in financing, not the fair share in representation, and I think you don't get the other without the other. You don't get your fair share in your resources or your financing if you're not getting that level of representation that you need. Strengthen our hand and we'll do more. We have gotten a lot more confusion. We've gotten a lot more uncertainty.
Yes.
We've gotten a lot more of the positions of not doing what is necessary to ensure that the people who sent you to Basti are benefiting from your trips over to St. Kitts. You may have had the intent, and it is easy to argue that the intent was there, and that is fine. But if the intent has no real purpose behind it,
correct,
to seek to really bring benefit to every single person, if there is no intent to bring benefit to the struggling single mom, or to the struggling large family, or to the struggling young man who is looking for employment, or to our young people who for years have sat at home because there are no employment opportunities, if you're not looking to improve our healthcare system and to complete projects that should mean something to our people,
correct,
then really and truly your trips are nothing but a waste of 45 minutes per day.
Correct.
And so what we would have had, or what we are having now, is an unfortunate circumstances of giving power to people who has no intent to return power to people.
Correct. Rohan, I mean, pretty soon we're going to shift the focus just a bit to talk about health on the island of Nevis. But before we get to that, it all comes back to me to the same thing. Accountability. So let me ask, before persons jump up and say, listen, if NRP gets in, it's going to be the same thing. How do you know? How do you know the NRP is presenting a fresh slate of candidates? A fresh slate of candidates. How do you know what we are going to do from what we are not going to do? But let's put that aside for a second. The first question ought to be, I think, should be, are you satisfied with where we are? Are you satisfied with where we are? I have a problem with our people seemingly being comfortable with mediocrity. We can't just sit by and say, well, we're not the worst. We're not the worst. No, we also not the best, which means there's room for improvement. When was the last time your area representative, any of the ministers sitting, whether elected or nominated or appointed, came to you and said, I got this amount of money, I did this with it? They can break down exactly what is happening. When they travel, do they always tell us where they are going and what they are going for? when they come back, do they show us the receipt? Do they show us what they went for? So for example, if you went to a forum and the forum is about climate change, when you come back, you ought to tell us what was discussed at the forum and what are the steps that's going to be taken going forward. You can't just be traveling for traveling's sake. It can't just be another free trip. You're making enough money, buy your own ticket and go on your own trips. These are the things we are talking about. It must come down to accountability. And you can't be vexed with somebody for asking you to tell us what you're doing with our money. It is our money. The same way we are asking for our money from the federal government, I have a right to ask you what you're doing with my money. And that is what we need to understand. We need to get away from this blue versus green, this red versus yellow versus orange. We need to put people at the center of what we are doing. And we are saying that under a Nevis Reformation Party-led administration, that will be done. The Nevis Reformation Party is about peace, progress, and prosperity. Peace for the island of Nevis, because all of us should be living peacefully amongst each other. Progress, because we believe that everyone is entitled to a certain standard of living, and we want to take it from one level to the next. Nobody's supposed to be in absolute poverty on the island of Nevis in 2022. Madness. Not when we have so many others doing so well on the island of Nevis. That cannot happen. And that is what we are trying to eradicate under an NRP-led administration. Many of you come to us and you want help, and we are not always able to help you, because we need to be in government in many instances to be able to help you. Some of the help that you requires us to be in government. You can't expect us from a position of opposition to do the government's job. It's like you want to keep us in opposition but expect us to do the work of the government. So what is the government doing? What is the government doing? Yes, I agree. We should be out there speaking. Yes, I agree. We should tell you what we are going to do. That is why we have these various fora. We will tell you, and we are telling you. We are showing you as well. But you cannot hold us as if we are in government when you have a government that is not performing. And that is the reality. We are also about prosperity, because prosperity for the man in Low Street must mean prosperity for the man in Hanley's Road. That is what it ought to be under an NRP administration. You see us? There is no dictator in the Nevis Reformation Party. There is no one side gets all. There is no my friends and family only. That is not what it is under an NRP. So even in opposition, we are showing you that that is not how we function. Everything is not going to happen in Gingerland while St. John's is there not getting anything. That's not how it works. We will work collaboratively, because we want to ensure that prosperity in the east is prosperity in the west. Rohan.
Yeah, I mean, I pick up where you left off on the prosperity, and one of the things that we have continually said and have recognized is that good governance calls for our people to get some level of benefit. Everybody's not going to get exactly what they want, but you should be able to get enough to bring you, as you say, from one level to the next. And we talk about that generational wealth. We want to be able to put our people in a position where they're not worrying about their children college tuition, or they're not worrying about paying the Netflix bill at the end of the week. We want to be able to empower you as our citizens, and to empower you at a position socially, and empower you at a position economically, and that is the finance, to ensure that you are in, your standard of living is acceptable, and that one of the things you hear people talking about is everything going up except the salary. The salary get a little jump. But it's going to get a little jump, and that is good. For some. That's true for those of you who work for government, I assume. And we are trying to ensure that everybody is getting what is ahead in life. I mean, getting an opportunity to develop, to push on, to advance in the in the hierarchy of their needs, and that they're satisfied, and that they are comfortable. And so this NRP government is seeking to ensure that educationally, in terms of health, in terms of sports, in terms of housing, in terms of economic development, that at the end of the day, we will not be asking if you're better off. You'll be telling us
Yes,
that you are better off, that you have benefited directly and indirectly from the plans and policies, because this NRP is about doing things that are fit for purpose. And the purpose is designed, and the plans and policies are designed that our people are supposed to benefit. This is in a unique position, in that you have the opportunity as a people to grow your economy, benefit from that, and still benefit from what is here for you at the federal level. So imagine an NRP that is in government, that is growing the economy, putting people to work, creating opportunities, training, education, developing and advancing the health management systems, doing all of those things, and getting the fair share, getting what is there from Bastia. Listen, that's a euphoria we're looking to.
Rohan, I can't be mad at anybody if along the way things didn't turn out. Things are shifting. I can't be mad at that. But how ironic is it that just last year, was it last year we had an election, Rohan, or the year before?
It seemed like yesterday, but it was 2020.
Just recently we had an election and we were told, vote for us. This is the best thing. This is the best it has ever been. Vote for us. And we have confidence in this person to lead the country. All of us will be united. We're working together. One good term deserves another. Man, they had slogan after slogan. Stronger together. Oh my goodness. Better together.
They were really pushing it.
They were really pushing it. Just a few months ago. What are the odds that what is happening now wasn't in existence back then? Come on. And so yes, I admit that things can happen along the way and you change your mind, and because you realize that things aren't going the way you wanted them to go, you have to stand up. But why now? It's so ironic that after you've been elected, you want to come now and tell us things not going as they should. You need to change. Because my thing is, fair enough, but you failed us. You did not deliver on your promise, and we ought not to reward you for non-performance. Shifting quickly to healthcare. Rohan, it seems as though in Nevis we speak a lot about healthcare and we want healthcare to be a priority. I mean, when you talk to people, they say, yes, healthcare has to be a priority because we don't know when it is our time. We don't know when we will get sick or any member of our family will get sick. But we talk whenever something happens, and then we be quiet for a while. We forget about it until something else happens. Imagine, we are still without dialysis machines. We talk. We cuss, we complain whenever someone dies, but we are still without, and it seems that people are going quiet. Which reminds me that in a couple of weeks, there will be a fundraiser for 2 dialysis patients, I'm told. There will be a fundraiser, and I want to encourage everyone to support that fundraiser because we really don't know when it will be our time. So anything that we can do to offer assistance, let us do that. Forget about party affiliation, forget who supports who, forget anything of that sort, because when it comes to health, we don't know when it's our time. But coming back to healthcare, we complain and then we get quiet. There are basic emphasis on basic functions, basic services that are lacking at our premier hospital on the island of Nevis. We are still years in and have not seen the completion of a hospital expansion project, which, by the way, they started saying is a brand new hospital because it is bigger than the size of the original hospital. Call it whatever you want. Use whatever adjectives you want. The reality is we have just blocks. Just blocks. Nothing has been put in place. However, we had a hospital designed We were promised that it will be delivered. We've spent, and we have nothing to show. Rohan.
Yeah, that's a car without engine. That is what it is. Without an engine, it goes nowhere. It doesn't work. It doesn't produce. You get no benefit from it. And so that is what the facility is. It's a car without engine. The reality is you're going on 5 years, $20+ million.
Correct.
Still not completed. And I recently went there and I see the construction of platform in front of the building.
Yes.
And I suspect that is for the containerized piece of equipment that they said they should get this one.
Madness.
And it is amazing to think that people feel that is acceptable. Listen, I welcome the new piece of machinery, but that piece of machinery should have been going into a completed new hospital, or as you say, whatever they want to call it. Let us be real here. If that facility had gone through its processes and had really been fit for its purpose and completed, $400 million, some of that very well, Jaedee, you could have had your MRI, you could have had your CAT scan, you could have had your dialysis machines, you could have a burn unit, you could have had a special wing for what do you call it? The department for children is called pediatrics. You could have had all of those things, and I keep stressing that people think that when we talk about an incomplete facility, we are talking just about the building. And that is not the case. No. It goes beyond the building.
Correct.
What services should be offered now to our people? We cannot get it because the facility is not completed.
Correct.
And people need to understand that $20 million isn't $20. And I want you to understand that in this day and age, $20 hard to come by.
Yes.
And $20 not giving you much. So take $20 million. Your money, my money, our money, gone. Just poof. And it is good and well because we're going up there and we're going to break down the interior. When they were told that the current design is not fit for purpose.
Correct.
No, but don't bother with that. Let us hire some North Americans who can come and tell us that it's not fit for purpose, and then we spend some more money on that. And then now we go and this is why we are harping now that things not right in the partnership.
Correct.
Because we want the bag.
Yes.
To do some things to say we would have done.
Yes, exactly.
It is the pressure being brought to bear on this administration that is causing certain people to make certain moves.
Yes.
Because I don't understand how you could tell the world in non-some terms in your marvelous display of the command of the English language how things are so wonderful. Things are so great, things are so good. It is the best in 38 years. And less than a full term.
Yes.
Here you come full circle.
Yes.
You have never gotten for your share. Never.
Yes. I mean, under an NRP-led administration, ladies and gentlemen, we will see an improvement in the delivery of health care on the island of Nevis. It will not be perfect, but it will definitely be 10 times better than what we have. You see, because we are not looking money to fund anybody's campaign. When we say money is for health care, it will be for health care. So you will see an upgraded, a completed hospital, upgraded health centers, and better working conditions for our nurses and doctors. Come on,
the entire system.
They deserve it.
Of course,
they deserve it. When you and I are sick, that is where we have to go. We don't have the luxury of jumping on a plane and going elsewhere. That is where we have to go.
And I think, Jaedee, I think people need to understand that your money is setting up for your health benefits.
Correct.
That you have that comfort, that you have that confidence. Listen, and I feel to let me go along with Alexandra because the services are there.
Yes.
The doctors are there. The equipment is there. That is what we are trying to get people to understand, that this NRP government, being fit for purpose, setting up those things.
What good is it to have trained doctors? Young people going out there becoming doctors, doing well, coming back home. What good is it to have nurses trained, upgrading their skills ever so often to come back and work in facilities, in buildings that are not fit for purpose? We have to do better. We have to vote out this CCM and vote in an NRP administration. As we wind down, we have some activities coming up, Rohan, and we want to just take a minute to encourage and invite you to these activities. I'll start with Mother's Day. On Mother's Day, which is Sunday the 8th, I want to Mom, Sam and Bagay. That's how we go. Everybody to be in Brown Hill, at that Brown Hill Hard Court, where we'll have a gospel concert. Right about now, this island needs prayer. We need prayer on the island of Nevis. So we want all of you to come out. Dr. Patricia Bartlett and her team, they are working tirelessly to put on a grand concert by Bridget Bloucher. That is Sunday, Mother's Day. Bring Mother there. We also have a contest that's been run for residents of St. Paul's, mothers of St. Paul's. Follow me on social media. Drop the name of a mother in St. Paul's who you think is deserving, and that lucky person, one from each of the areas, will receive a $100 electricity credit. Times are hard. We got to help people, and I want to help pay your electricity bill. I ain't helping you to buy no weave, even though this one I have all look good. I ain't helping you to buy no clothes. We're helping with your electricity because it benefits you and your children. And we also have a breakfast in St. George's this weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, follow the NRP. We need you because we know that you need us. That's all the time we have for Speak Up. Be sure to tune in next week, Thursday, when we'll be back with another episode. Good night.
Join Jaedee Caines and Rohan Isles this and every Thursday on the Caribbean's powerhouse, Von Radio, for Speak Up, a social commentary talk show that addresses the state of affairs on Nevis. Expect great conversations, different perspectives, and an all-inclusive approach to moving Nevis forward. Tune in. It's time for us to speak up.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcast